who replaces General Christopher Musa with General Oluyede as Chief of Defense Staff. Financial Action Task Force officially removes Nigeria from its list of jurisdictions under increased monitoring. Police rearrests Omoyele Sowore shortly after being granted bail at Kuje Magistrate Court. On the foreign scene, Britain urges her fellow allies of Ukraine to reach deal for peace talks. Good evening, this is News at 7 on Western Spring Television. My name is Olufemi Alabi. President Bola Tinubu has made changes in the hierarchy of the service chiefs, replacing General Christopher Musa with General Olufemi Oluyede as the Chief of Defense Staff. The President also appointed Major General W. Shaibu as the new Chief of Army Staff, Air Vice Admiral S.K. Aneke as the Chief of Air Staff, and Rear Admiral I. Abbas is the new Chief of Naval Staff. Meanwhile, Chief of Defense Intelligence Major General E.A.P. Odendeye retains his position. The change was announced in a statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President, Media and Public Communications Sunday Diary on Friday. He said the development is a furtherance of the efforts of the federal government of Nigeria to strengthen the national security architecture. Last year, Oluyede was appointed as acting Chief of Army Staff to replace the late Lieutenant General Tarid Lagbaja. Staying with security, the International Criminal Police Organization Interpol says 11 high-level members of terrorist groups have been arrested in Nigeria. The arrests were part of Operational Catalyst, a landmark operation targeting terrorism, financing, and related criminal activities across 6 African countries. According to Interpol, the 3-month operation conducted between July and September 2025 led to 83 arrests and identified 160 persons of interest. Countries that participated in the operation include Nigeria, Angola, Cameroon, Kenya, Namibia, and South Sudan. In Nigeria, Interpol confirmed that 11 suspected terrorists, including senior members of various terrorist groups, were apprehended. The operation also uncovered several financial networks suspected of funding terrorism activities through illegal transactions and online fraud schemes. To judicial matters, the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has failed to open his defense in his ongoing alleged terrorism trial before a federal high court in Abuja. Kanu said he could not open his defense because he has not been handed the case file to enable him to familiarize himself with its content to enable him adequately prepare for his defense. Following his inability to commence his defense on Thursday after the withdrawal of his team of lawyers led by former Attorney General of the Federation, Kanu Agabi, Nnamdi Kanu prayed the court to grant him a short adjournment till the next day. At the resumed hearing on Friday, the prosecuting lawyer, Adegboyega Awomolo, told the court that the case was scheduled for Kanu to open his defense. When it was his turn to speak, Kanu said he would be representing himself, but said those responsible for bringing the case file to him while he is in the custody of the Department of State Services were unable to meet with him yesterday. He prayed the court for more time, requesting for time to allow his people bring the case file by the weekend so he would be ready to proceed by Monday. Awomolo did not object, following which Justice Omotosho ordered the DSS to allow him to receive visitors on no working days. Meanwhile, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has stated that he will appear as a witness in the ongoing trial of the detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, if subpoenaed by the court. Wike stated this during his monthly media chat on a Friday when asked about being named by Kanu as a witness. The minister's remarks followed a motion filed by Kanu at the Federal High Court in Abuja on Tuesday, informing the court that he would open his defense on Friday, October 24, 2025. The IPOB leader has also disclosed that he would call 23 witnesses, including the FCT minister, former Minister of Defense, retired Admiral Theophilus Danjuma, former Chief of Army Staff, retired General Tukur Buratai, among others. Speaking during the chat, Wike stated that he did not ask to be named as a witness, adding that he has not been served any papers by the court. He added that he would be compelled to appear in court to present his witness if called upon by the court, noting that he couldn't become a witness by reading newspaper reports.
If you see Nandikanu, you ask him, why did he list me? I did not go to say I want to be a witness. You are the one saying that. So if you see him, ask him, why did you list Wike as one of your witnesses?
Have you not seen it?
I'm coming. I don't list. See, you don't become a witness by reading newspaper. Nobody has served me any poster. Nobody has subpoenaed me. So because I saw Wike's listed, therefore, I'm going to run helter skelter. No, you don't do that. If I am served, if I'm subpoenaed to come and give witness or to give evidence, I must obey the court. I must appear. But not on pages of newspapers. Nobody does that.
Excellency.
And so, as to why I should be listed, he who chooses me there, you should ask him the question. But if I am invited, if I'm supposed to come,
Human rights activist and Free Nnamdi Kanu Now campaigner Omoyele Sowore was rearrested by the Nigerian police shortly after his appearance at the Kuje Magistrate Court on Friday. Sowore, alongside Nnamdi Kanu's brother, Prince Emmanuel Kanu, a former member of Kanu's legal team, Aloy Ejimako, and 10 others had earlier met their bail conditions. The court, presided over by Magistrate Abubakar Umar Said, granted them bail in the sum of 500,000 naira each, with two sureties residing in the Federal Capital Territory, possessing valid identification and a 3-year tax clearance. The defendants were also directed to submit their international passports. The ruling followed the arraignment on charges of unlawful assembly and disturbance of public peace after they were arrested during Thursday's protest demanding release of detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. Despite meeting the bail conditions, only Sowore was reportedly picked up again and whisked away by police officers in Kuje prison shortly after the proceedings. He is expected to be arraigned on Monday on a fresh charge related to his claim that President Bola Tinubu is a criminal. Meanwhile, rights activist Deji Adeyaju and Showore's counsel Maxwell Okpara condemned the arrest, describing it as violation of human rights.
But they even damaged that woman's
table that sells food.
That sells food. You can go and see it. And
They took a lawyer away whom they claim was filming.
What do you make of the charges being leveled?
Frivolous. There is no basis for any of such charges at all. What we are just witnessing is a situation where the Nigerian police force, led by retired a man who has no business being in the police, is insisting on illegality. There is no way that you can criminalize protest. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, what will be the basis, the legal basis, if you say somebody has contravened a valid order of court? What is your business in arresting the person? Why don't you just go and report to that court that he has so that contempt proceedings can be initiated against the person? Why are you? Because what the police is doing is they are resorting to self-help.
And that's exactly what it displayed
because
yesterday.
The ego of the Inspector General of Police has been bruised, because you know Sowore has been very critical of him. The man is not taking it part. If you see what happened here, it was personal. What happened here was personal.
There is no rule of law in Nigeria. There is no rule of law in Nigeria. You got him arrested, you subject yourself to court, and the court has now accepted them. And the court now grant them bail condition, granted their bail, and said, pending when they will meet up with their bail condition, they should be in with a.
In other news, the Financial Action Task Force has officially removed Nigeria from its list of jurisdictions under increased monitoring, also known as the Grey List. The decision was taken at the 5th October 2025 plenary in Paris, France, following the country's successful implementation of a 19-point action plan aimed at strengthening its anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism. AML CFT framework. Nigeria was placed on the grey list in February 2023 after the FAT identified strategic deficiencies in its AML CFT system. Over the past 2 years, the federal government worked with the FAT and the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa to address the identified gaps through legislative reforms, institutional strengthening, and enhanced interagency coordination. Key reforms cited by the FATF include the enactment and enforcement of the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 and the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022, the operationalization of the Beneficial Ownership Register, and improved supervision of designated non-financial businesses and professions, announcing the country's exit from the grey list in a statement released on Friday. The director of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, Hafsat Bakari, said Nigeria had enhanced the capacity of its intelligence and law enforcement agencies to detect, investigate, and prosecute financial crimes while deepening international cooperation and intelligence sharing. President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday welcomed Nigeria's removal from the Financial Action Task Force grey list. This came as the FATF announced the delisting at its plenary in Paris, France on Friday. It described the move as a major milestone in the country's ongoing economic and institutional reforms. The FATF is the world's foremost standard-setting body for combating money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation financing. Tinubu said that the listing is evidence of the country's commitment to global financial transparency and constitutional integrity. Nigeria was placed on the FATF grey list in February 2023 following concerns over weak enforcement, poor interagency coordination, and upkey financial practices. Under the President's directive, and the alignment with the broader economic transformation agenda, Nigeria completed the FATF action plan through sweeping legal, institutional, and operational reforms. In the meantime, the Nigeria's Governors Forum has pledged its full support for the bill seeking reserved seats for women in Nigeria's legislature. In a statement issued at the end of their meeting in the early hours of Friday, the governors urged the members to actively lobby both the federal and state lawmakers to ensure the passage of the proposed legislation, which aims to increase women's representation in political office. The bill scheduled for a vote at the National Assembly seeks to amend the 1999 Constitution. It proposes the creation of special constituencies exclusively contested by women in both the national and state assemblies, aimed at temporarily boosting women's participation in governance. The forum also commended the federal government's fiscal policies, particularly those driven by the Central Bank of Nigeria, which has been aimed at stabilizing the nation's economy. A coalition of labor unions in Kaduna State has commended Governor Uba Sani for approving the implementing the national minimum wage and consequently adjustments for all local government employees. The unions, the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, the Nigerian Union of Teachers, the Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria, gave the commendation at a joint press conference in Kaduna. Their leaders, Rayanu Torunku Ibrahim Dalhatu and Umar Fatika, described the governor's action as a demonstration of empathy, fairness, and commitment to workers' welfare. They also announced the suspension of their planned warning strike, following the governor's approval to implement the wage adjustments for all local government workers, including those on the SUBEB and the Primary Healthcare Board, with effect from October 2025. The labor unions applauded the administration's effort in transforming the education and healthcare sectors. Still to come, Borno State's Governor Babagana Zulum has expressed shock over the use of drones by Boko Haram terrorists to attack soldiers noting that despite well-circulated intelligence that the Mafa area of the state would be attacked, troops could not prevent it from happening. We'll bring you more on this when we return.